Lindsay Shaw from the Illinois Supreme Court Commission on Professionalism. Welcome to Reimagining Law. We're exploring how legal professionals are adapting the delivery of services to meet the needs of today's consumers. Many lawyers and legal professionals have been working from home for the past 6 months, putting company culture to the test. Firms have had to reinvent operational and administrative processes on the fly while trying to cultivate a sense of collaboration and camaraderie among staff who only see each other virtually. Now that in-person onboarding, networking, mentoring, and team building activities have been put on hold, how are law firms retaining their corporate culture, and why is strong leadership more important now than ever? Today, I'm joined by Ken Koehn, Chief Financial Officer at Gould Ratner in Chicago and President of the Chicago chapter of the Association of Legal Administrators. Ken, thanks for joining me. Let's jump right in. How has the virtual work environment impacted the team culture at Gould Ratner and at law firms across the nation?
Well, it's required that we rethink pretty much everything. You know, we had to start over with all our processes, all our ways of engaging with each other. So we've just really tried to think of new and different ways and to remember to communicate. I think that's the biggest thing that we've made an effort to as leaders and as firms, is to make constant efforts to reach out, whether it's phone calls, whether it's Zoom calls, whether it's dropping some food off at somebody's house, just making the effort and rethinking and thinking about everything that we're doing, because nothing can be assumed to be the same as it used to be.
And now that most employees are virtual, how can firms continue to connect with their staff and instill a positive culture?
It's this idea of constantly thinking about it and communicating. So we're doing all sorts of things. We do little blogs every day, a paragraph, and it just rotates around the firm, and everyone just shares what they're doing, whether they're planting their garden or whether they're cooking, but it keeps people in contact. We have a bingo every week. We have happy hours. We make efforts to pick up the phone and call somebody and not send an email. We, as much as people are Zoom fatigued at some points, we still try and make an effort at least once or maybe twice a month to just see each other's faces, not even necessarily just for business. It might just be to talk, but it's something you really have to think about ways to still keep engaged with your people so that we don't sort of drift and separate.
Absolutely.
When you're in the office, it's easy, but now we have to think about it.
Why is strong organizational leadership more important now than ever?
Well, because everything that sort of ran on autopilot before doesn't apply anymore. So all the processes, all the ways of operating and working together have to be rethought. And do they still apply? What needs to change? What can stay? And so you need an engaged leadership who is thinking about each of these things as opposed to thinking we can just operate business as usual, because we can't. And so leadership really needs to recognize that everything needs to be rethought through again. And how can we do things differently so that we come out at the other end stronger? Let's take advantage of what we're going through and find what new things are actually good for the firm and good for our people.
And in order to find that, what's good for the firm and good for your people, how can leadership be developed in a virtual environment that we're in right now?
That's very tough. It's tough in a normal situation, and now obviously we're in a whole different situation. It really does, again, come back to the communication and the reach out, and in my opinion, avoiding email as much as possible. I try and pick up my phone as many times as 10 to 15 times a day to talk to people, the leaders on my team. I know our management committee is doing the same thing. Our department chairs are doing the same thing. It's about having the contact and the back and forth where you can hear tone and where you can hear things in people's voices. It's that type of thing where even though we're not together, we're still as close as we can be. I think avoiding an email is really kind of the big thing, and making the effort to be there as close to in person as you can.
Great, and that is important to remember. And how are firms nurturing employee success, especially in their newer attorneys?
It comes down to the same thing. The recognition that what was working before or what was in place before needs to be completely rethought through. And what works on a Zoom platform or what works on a virtual platform and can't work on those platforms. What can we still salvage? Can we do anything in person anymore? Can we meet at an outdoor coffee place and sit 6 feet apart? Things all along those lines. It's this rethinking of everything, reevaluating, and then the communication. The communication is the piece that I really think is important, because I've seen within my own firm how there's almost an overkill on communication. I mean that in a very positive sense, because the leaders will communicate even when they don't necessarily have to say something, because the absence of communication puts fear in people's minds. So we communicate and communicate over and over and over again. I think that's really important.
Agreed. And what should law firms be doing to better support their attorneys and staff?
Again, I feel like a lot of these are the same answers, but it's that communication. It really is. Everything that everybody is going through these days is new and scary and unknown. And when we can just talk through things, and when we can hear from the firm's leaders, when we can hear from department chairs or C-level folks, it takes some of that fear out of people's minds. Some people are home by themselves and they think through a lot of different scenarios. Well, let's calm people down and just have the conversations and talk things through. It's that communication, putting the effort into the communication, and putting the effort into finding new ways to do things in our new circumstances.
Ken, as I had mentioned before, you are the Chicago chapter president of the Association of Legal Administrators. How is the ALA supporting law firms during this time?
So the great thing about our industry is that we do share and cooperate and work together despite being competitors. And so ALA is a great example of that. Here in Chicago, we have close to 300 members. There's close to 9,000 members nationwide. And we have a number of resources that allow our members to share the answers they're coming up with to these new problems across the chapter or across the association. We've got different listservs, which are email groups where members can throw questions to the group, either locally or nationally, on just any number of a variety of topics. We have specialized listservs as well too. So there's finance listservs, for example. In Chicago, in our chapter, we've increased our programming by about 400%. So we're running educational sessions every single week, with many of them geared towards the things that we need to know right now in response to all the new situations that we're encountering. We're also running hangout meetings, which are just meetings without agendas, where our members can get together and just bring up topics that are facing them right now. So we have a chief operating officer and executive director roundtable. We have a large firm roundtable and just a general roundtable for any member. And they've been wonderful in that 20 to 25 people will attend each roundtable and throw questions out and see the responses they get. So this ability to not be on your own and to be able to get answers from somebody else that's already faced the problem you're going through right now has been wonderful.
Absolutely, that's great. Well, thanks again, Ken, for joining me, and thank you for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on new episodes. Information on how to stay connected to the commission is in the notes.